Just so you guys know, this video is will probably be triggering. We talk about violence. We talk about violence against trans people and a lot of obviously race relations. So if any of that's triggering you, please, this is your warning.
Okay, so even before we get started, I know that on our last call, we talked about Tony McDade, who's a black trans man who is dead now because he was shot by police during a police encounter. And I'm still looking for some details with this, and there's been a little bit of controversy about this for two reasons. Number one is he killed someone. He's accused of killing someone. He was involved in some type of a violent altercation with someone. Some people are saying it's because he had been targeted and he went back to get revenge. I'm not quite sure. And then there's also the controversy that the real big issue is that no one is talking about him. No one is talking about including Tony McDade in the Black Trans Lives That Matter, people who were killed by cops. Now, regardless of what way you look at it, this is someone who is dead at the hands of the police officers and was not able to have his day in court. There's a law in Tallahassee, Florida, where this happened, where that classifies police officers as victims when they kill a civilian, and it's basically to protect their identity and their privacy. And so the public doesn't know who the killer is or which officer shot Tony McDade. And I think this officer has a right to his day in court. He should be able to say his side in court. And I think that Tony McDade should have Tony McDade should have had the opportunity to have his day in court. And I think that's probably the reason why I'm so invested in this. So there's a petition that's going around. It's with advocacy.org, and they are, I'm partnering with them to really get the word out. We already have 30,000 signatures up to this moment. We want to get a lot more. And so if you can, click the link in the description. I'll send it to Bob. Bob's going to share it. I'm going to share it. I'm going to ask as many people to share it. If you can't share this petition, let's get them to take a second look at this law that basically allows police officers to not have to go to court, to kill civilians and have privacy and be listed as victims. I think that we need to change that law. And anyone who's involved in some type of a violent encounter where someone ends up dead, there should be a court proceeding. And that's the beginning of justice. So that's just what I know. I'm on my soapbox, but that's what I wanted to say.
So I just want to start by saying, first of all, that today, there was a few days ago where I felt like I was like this is it. Like, okay, let me get started. I was on my podcast with Monet Exchange. I had a talk with her, and at one point I said to her, like, I want to move. Like, I don't feel welcome in this country, and I want to leave. And then someone commented below. They said a comment that Donald Trump said when
Wait,
he was running for
move
president.
from the country or move from
I wanted to move from the
city?
country. I wanted to get the fuck
Okay.
out of the whole country. And then someone reminded that a while back Donald Trump said they'll deport themselves. Basically saying, I'll make this country so unlivable that they'll deport themselves. And I
Here it
almost
is.
got to that point to myself. And then after reading that, I was like, no. I had a moment where I was like, I got to get out of here. But now I'm like, I must stay for people who can't get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I had a really good conversation today with a friend of mine, a white friend of mine. Oh, there was a video that I meant to send you before this, who we had a really constructive conversation about everything that's going on. And although it's like there's a lot, it's really heavy, it's complicated, and it certainly is focused, there's some negative moments on that. I was encouraged by how much change there seems to be. And it definitely seems to be a lot more real change, or at least a deeper level of change than it's been in the past in terms of people's mindsets. And so I think that's encouraging. That I feel like we are winning. I don't want to speak too soon.
Well, here it is. I feel okay. One of the big tide changes for me, a little change was when George Floyd's murderer got arrested, the one who was kneeling on his neck. That was a big deal. And then when all four of them got arrested, and his charge was up to second-degree murder, I was like, it's working. So now, but we got to keep going for Breonna Taylor. We got to keep going for everyone who's experienced anything in this time because, like,
Yeah, well, Go
Yeah,
ahead. I'm
the
sorry. Go ahead.
momentum is like it's working, and what I want to say to people is like it's all of these things. It is the fact that we're online. It is the fact that we're on the streets. It is the fact that we have people who are also in legislation making change as well. People on the local level, at the government level. It's all of this stuff together combined is what's powerful in making it like this.
I know that I said this the other day, and so I think it's important to say again because what ends up happening is if people have different levels of understanding about what's going on right now, and there's some people that are like saying, and I know we'll get into this, all lives matter. There's people that are against the protest. There's people that think there's nothing wrong. Like, excuse me, people like Drew Brees, who's this NFL football player. Came out yesterday in response
Drew Brees. Who the hell is Drew Brees? What is Drew Brees saying?
Girl, I know. Damn, it's for Breeze's cousin. Um, who he's some folk. I mean, girl, he's the football player. So I didn't know who that was, but he's the football player who came out in response in an interview, and when asked if Colin Kaepernick should now be getting his job back because basically even the NFL is saying what Colin was saying.
What had been done been saying.
Been saying that.
Imagine being Colin Kaepernick and seeing the NFL have the audacity to tweet Black Lives Matter after you done fired me, after you done villainized me. You got the president calling me a whatever the fuck he done called me. You got
the president. Everybody they were burning him in effigy. They were doing he was the devil. And see, that's the thing that they do. And when I say I can't say the NFL outright did it, but fans of the NFL, people who support people that I've heard talking about Blue Lives Matter, people who I'm talking about All Lives Matter,
yeah,
they say they only focus on the individual. They seem obsessed with only talking about people as individuals. Only when it suits them.
Yep.
And maybe we all have that same thing about us, but like, for instance, George Floyd, the situation with George Floyd, they'll only go as far to acknowledge that it's sad that George Floyd is dead, and if anything, that cop was a not good, and that's it. So it's almost like they will acknowledge and they will identify, oh, that person's a racist. If someone is a racist, they acknowledge individuals as racists, but they don't acknowledge racism, the system of racism.
Yeah. And it's weird to see like they're acknowledging him, and then when the other picture showed up. So anyone who is, I mean, I don't know who has not been following this, but like the first picture showed up was a video of this man kneeling on George Floyd's neck with another cop standing in front of him, basically calling George Floyd a drug addict, being like, well, don't do drugs, blah, 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 blah. And then another image showed up of the other side of the car, and you realize there are 3 more cops kneeling on top of him, which you didn't see in the first video. All 4 of those cops have been fired and charged. The cop with his knee on his neck has been charged with second-degree murder. And then I still want to see something with the cop who was like obstructing justice, which is literally what was happening when he was like blocking those people and telling them they can't come forward, when he was obstructing justice from having the people get their knee off of George Floyd's neck. You know what I mean?
And so I really do, like, it baffles me that people can think of this issue, or it doesn't baffle me, but I think that's part of the problem, is that folks don't want to, there's so much I want to talk about. Okay, so identifying racism as a system, I think is really important for people to do, to acknowledge that the issue here isn't that a cop should be fired or arrested. For me, and the cop should be fired and arrested. But in addition to that, the issue for me is not so much why are there racist individual cops. For me, the issue is why do any police officers feel okay shooting and killing black folks? And when they do, why is it that they know, because they do know, that they probably will not be punished for it? And so that is racism. That's what we have to get rid of, not the individual cop. Because, honey, you get rid of that cop, and here's another one tomorrow who's going to have his same gun and badge number. So it's not really that. It's the fact that they feel that they know that they work at a job that in a system and in a country where they can shoot first, ask questions later, and not have any, it's very rare that they'll be convicted. Even the prosecutor, I think, or the attorney general in Minnesota says convicting a police officer for this is very difficult to do. And there's probably a number of reasons for that. But part of the reasons is they end up, whether it's sad or not that the person died, which it always is, that they're able to frame it, the cop was just doing their job, the cop feared for their life. And if you start to, yes, that was not a good decision, and the cop's not perfect, but if you start to, they say, if you start to crack down on the police officers, then all the police officers are going to lose hope, and then they're not going to want to do the job. And so that's usually the argument that people say is you can't really police the police officers because then they won't want to do the job. Good.
Well, there's also,
don't do the job.
There's also there's also the fact that first of all, a lot of cops are afraid to speak out against other cops for fear of retaliation from cops in the force,
which is probably a very real thing.
Oh, I mean, it's super real. A lot of cops are afraid because they know that if they speak out against these cops, or if they, even within the cop circle, there is a snitches get stitches policy where maybe not stitches, but they will make your life hard. You'll have shit shifts. You will be pushed to work that no one wants to do. You'll end up in the worst, the most dangerous neighborhoods to police and patrol. You will be put in, they will make your life hard if you speak out against police brutality, which is why I think a lot of cops don't, which is why, if there's one thing I will take from Donald Trump, it is this: drain the fucking swamp. Drain the swamp that is the police system, and they really need to retrain their police or staff their entire police system. Like, the people working there are already so
it's
deeply...
It's not the individuals, Bob. It's
the system.
The system. Yeah, the people. Yeah. It's what they're learning. What I'm saying is the people who are working there... and books.
What I'm saying is the people who are working there are already ingrained in this system where they know that they're not allowed to speak out against other cops. They're not, like, they know that if they do, their lives will become a living hell. Okay, so you just said... Okay, we had a little technical difficulty. Sorry, guys. So, sorry, everyone. So you just said something, Pep, that really... Because Leslie Jones tweeted this morning a list of companies that are funding Trump. And I'm like, well, I feel like we have some sit-ins to stage. Because what she said makes sense. Leslie Jones said, we have to play the game they play. If you want to protest, let's start with their pockets. Vote, vote, vote. Yeah, I think vote, vote, vote. But also, like, what are some good old... So, apparently, Bang, In-N-Out, Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, McDonald's, Wendy's, KFC, Pizza Hut, Olive Garden, Waffle House, IHOP, and Carl's Jr. are all companies that are supporting Trump. I think it might be time
to start... Did you say Domino's?
No, I said Pizza Hut. Thank God.
Okay.
With their dusty ass pizza.
I just had Domino's last night. Pizza Hut. Where do you even get Pizza Hut anymore?
Girl, if they said Domino's, that would really hurt my heart. But maybe it's time for us to go to, like, for example, if back in the day, MLK, they would find these companies that were transgressing black people, and they would just do sit-ins, and you affect their pocket because they can't do any business because you crowd their stores with people just sitting there.
It's the exact same thing. Yesterday must have been the come to let everybody know moment, because bring out the receipts day was yesterday. Because at the same time, a report was released with a list of names of all of the Broadway producers who have been supporting Trump and who have been giving donations to Trump. And honestly, like, as individuals, they have every right to do it, and it's totally fine.
They have every right.
But there is something that feels, I mean, Pizza Hut or that's separate, because there's no reason for pizza. I mean, it ethically companies can give to who they want, but there's not really. I don't expect my pizza parlor to really be very political necessarily, unless they want. But just by definition, Broadway, as a performing art, is, and one of the premier performing art forms is theater, is saying something that is engaged in politics, is engaged in race, debates about race, it is engaged in all those things. And so, to know that there are Broadway producers, okay, we're gonna say it. It's ironic that one of the number one Broadway shows, or new Broadway shows, Hamilton, I am so sorry, who's got so many productions, well, not right now, but has many productions touring until the lockdown, and is a huge smash hit and extremely culturally relevant, right? Is connected to
Trump.
donating to Trump.
Well, I mean, that is wild.
Not Lin-Manuel Miranda. You know, not the actors, not the performers, not the people who wrote it, but honestly,
the producers.
One of the big
people
ones
who
is
put
the
it on.
Nederlanders. The Nederlanders. There's only a few big Broadway producers. For those that don't know, there's like several theaters, like 40 theaters in New York City, and they're all owned by like 2 or 3 companies, 3 organizations, and they're family owned. And so some of them, many of those, most of those families, I think, are donating to Trump, which is upsetting when you think, wow, even shows the money that has been generated, the millions of dollars that Hamilton has generated
is going
to that. And that has a lot of Broadway performers really thinking right now.
And what you said is true. Yeah, of course, these people, they have the right to give their money, but we have the right as people as well to protest that, to speak about that, and to have our direct action and affect their pocket as well. These people are using their money that we are giving them. I didn't know that about Hamilton. I know every goddamn word to Hamilton. We were up in his apartment singing Angelica, work, Eliza, and Peggy just last week. Meanwhile, not realizing that I'm, contributing to propaganda that could be my direct downfall. You see what I'm saying?
It doesn't feel good. Something feels so, for people that would be like, well, they can give what they want, and that's true. But now that I'm aware, I have the right to have feelings about it, and I may not want to support it,
and have direct actions based on that too. Like they have the right to support those things, but we also fully have the right to be like, and now we will be outside protesting every day if we want to. That is all right.
Damn day.
But also on top of the fact that Trump is trying to pass this new anti-terror bill, which is including a lot of activism in it. Have you seen this?
Is it the EARN Act? It's not the EARN Act.
I mean, that's the
repeal 230. 230.
This is all. I think so. This is all happening so fast. I can't even keep up with it anymore. Like it's just. And I was thinking the other day, like, what kind of sneaky shit is the Trump Foundation gonna try to
sneaking through? And they're trying to. I heard, and this is not substantiated. I haven't researched it, but a friend of mine tells me that they're probably trying to pass some legislation now, and one of them is something that will directly affect the ability and right to protest the way that we are. It is called he called it the EARN Act. I'm not sure what that acronym is for. And he said it's the proof of it, or at least a sign of that, is that Trump said repeal 230, I think, in one of his speeches or something. And so that's kind of the red flag that clued people in. And what this bill will do is it basically just starts to strip away at the First Amendment, essentially.
It was also so weird to see that, like, when Trump went to the Rose Garden to give his little weird speech where he walked over and held that Bible in front of a church where he actually had the military throw tear gas at actual pastors who work at that church.
And protesters that were being peaceful, sitting in.
Yeah. Had them being rushed out of there. He was like, all of a sudden in the middle of this talk, he's doing this thing where he's like, I likened to this the other day. If you ever have a white friend who wants to see if they can get away with saying the N-word around you, so they'll try to slip it in some. Have you ever had this happen to you before?
I mean, I certainly have had white friends that have said it, but okay, finish your point.
So what I've had is what they'll do is they'll try to slip it in a little way. Like they'll say it like with the GA and then just like NZA and all this stuff to see if they can keep slipping in to see if they can get to the point where they can just say it. And I feel like Trump is doing this with his flirting with white supremacy. He'll get up there and be like, blah, 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 blah. There are good people on both sides. And then he'll be like,
they're thugs. The black folks are thugs.
And then then he'll be like, the white supremacists didn't do this. And then he just gets on in the middle of his speech at the Rose Garden and just randomly says, we are here to protect rights, including the Second Amendment. And I'm like, what is that?
What does that have to do with...
What is
Ain't nobody trying to take no guns?
But also, like, that is just a way to activate these people who are like, they're trying to. He's giving this idea that part of the Black Lives Matter movement is trying to take their guns away by throwing that in there completely randomly. Oh, by the way, we're here to also protect your Second Amendment rights, which I'm sure all of a sudden, I bet Trump's thoughts on the Second Amendment would be completely different if this was truly like the Black Panther Party. If the black folks were carrying guns too, I bet all of a sudden he'd be like, well, we need to make sure that people can carry guns in certain areas.
I'm with you on that. Of course, I wouldn't put it past them to. I mean, yeah, they don't want us to have guns, and that's why. Yeah, that's the end of that story.
Yeah,
You're 100% right about that.
There's no need to go further. They don't want to have a gun point blank.
Yeah,
Period,
they just don't want us to have them. I mean, I was obviously terrified by what Trump did the other day in the Rose Garden and bombing those protesters. But what is really more sort of interesting to me, and this is one of the big things that I wanted to get to today, is here we are in June, and I have seen more people than I would care to saying messages of, can't we just focus on LGBT pride? It's Gay Pride Month. Let's just focus on that and not Black Lives Matter was basically is over.
Girl.
You know, they arrested him. Can we please? They arrested not even all four at that time. One of the ones I read was, okay, I'm just gonna say the DJ from that meth gala.
Oh, what's his name? What the
Girl,
meth DJ?
I don't remember his damn silly ass name. Girl,
DJ Tweaks a lot.
He had put out a post where he was basically saying, "Okay, y'all."
I'll find it while you talk. You talk. I'll find
it. Basically attacking the protesters for going out and saying, you know, what's this double standard that people are not coming for the protesters, but being unsafe and not wearing masks, which is true. He has a point there. People need to be wearing masks because we have to be thinking about this pandemic. But at the same time, you know, he was saying, why are you going to blame them? And why can't I just have a party and try to enjoy my friends? It's pride. They caught the cop already. So I guess this wasn't really about Black Lives Matter. It was really all about wanting to loot, wasn't it? And not about Black Lives Matter and not about George Floyd, because they already arrested the cop. If you were going to protest only for George Floyd just to have the cop arrested, then you would have stopped when the cop got arrested. But instead, you kept going. So that means it has nothing to do with anything but looting. That's what he said.
Yeah. He took down his post, so I can't find it. His name was Alec Brian Letty, and I cannot find his post. But it also goes, it feeds into this narrative that the protesters and the looters are the exact same people. This is a completely false narrative that has been spun by the media, that all of a sudden at the stroke of curfew, all of the peaceful protesters pull out their baseball bats.
Turn into zombies.
Yeah. Pull out their baseball bats and just start destroying. Exactly. And it's this idea they are making it look like they just decided to turn it into this monster fest at the stroke of curfew, and that's not the case. The looters and the protesters are often not remotely in the same faction at all, and a lot of the looting is supported by cops or done by white supremacist groups.
Obviously in an effort to discredit the movement, or some people are just trying to get some free stuff, but I don't know, because I'm not in that mindset right now of being out on the street and I haven't looted anything. But one of the things that was so powerful, there's a few things I want to say here. One of the things that, yes, that's not the same people, and there is a difference between the rage that a person can feel after having been oppressed and for so long.
For 500 years.
For 500 years. Versus somebody looting. Being so angry that you want to throw things at the cop cars or whatever is, I can see that. And that's not even all people. I can see how that would get jumbled in with looting. But they are two different things, and I think it's fair to treat it two different ways. Here we go. If you are a human being who thinks that the looting and the people protesting are the same thing and that it's just a bunch of looters, then you must immediately, publicly, I'm ordering you to denounce your support of the white supremacists at Charlottesville. Because you can't separate those two groups of people, the protesters from the white supremacists, you can't separate that and put all the Black Lives Matter protesters with the looters. You can't do the same thing. If a protest is looting and robbing and raping and beating and all that stuff, then so is the Charlottesville. So if we're summing up the whole group by the actions of a few, then if you're I'll let you have that. If you can say that every last person at that protest in Charlottesville was a white supremacist.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't do it. You cannot do it. Because doing that will force you to acknowledge that there is a countrywide problem with racism, and that racism is not just a few bad apples. It is a system. It's in everything we do. It's in our employment. Obviously, it's in our police system. It's in entertainment. It's in music. It's in every single inch of this country.
And that is what people mean when they say systemic. When they say systemic, they mean it is in the systems on every single level. That racism is in the laws, it is in the company policies, it is in the police training. All that stuff is it. When they say systemic, they mean it is flowing throughout the veins of the systems of practically every system we have in America.
Every single system. Obviously, the justice system, the criminal justice system, the penal system, all of those systems. And so that's something that we have to recognize, which is why I'm not out for me, those protests are not only about George Floyd. They're in honor of George Floyd, but those protests are about getting rid of the systemic racism that exists in this country. And systematic racism, which is actually more of just like a bigger version of systemic, basically.
Yeah.
And so that's the first thing with those protests. Second of all, with there's so many things I wanted to say. I'm getting jumbled.
Well,
say something. I'll be right
I can start. So what I'm talking about this is something that really affected me the other day. So when I heard that you and Marty were going down to a demonstration in was it Washington Square Park?
No, it started in Sheridan Square in front of Stonewall.
Work. So I heard that you and Marty were headed down to this protest down in Sheridan Square, and then they had bumped the curfew from 11 to 8 with very short notice. And not only that, but when the curfew went to 8, we got a message being like, "Oh, by the way, no Uber. You can't get a city bike. You can't if you're not within 30 minutes of your home and you need to get home in 30 minutes. Good luck, because it's going down."
Because it happened. They sent us that message at 7:30.
Yeah, no traffic below 96th Street at all. You can't even be in a car even below 96th Street. And I'm also intrigued how the wider
96th Street?
the wider the neighborhoods get, the more you start seeing what's what I'm looking for. The laws get stricter. Just how like in Beverly Hills, do you know the curfew was in Beverly Hills? 4 p.m. There was a 4 p.m. curfew in Beverly Hills, which is basically them saying, like, keep all that black trash out of our neighborhoods. We don't want that in our neighborhoods.
We don't want it in our neighborhoods. Let them stay in their own neighborhoods. That's what it is.
So what I'm saying is, like, so once I realized that you were down there, I was like, oh my God, I need to call. I called you. I was like, you need to go home. Like, get the fuck out of there. Go home. You know it's going down. Because the last thing what was just making me freak out was the idea of like a black trans woman being arrested in this current time. It's scary. That is a scary feeling for someone who's not a black trans woman.
Well, yeah, exactly. And especially considering that many trans women, when they're arrested, if they're arrested, end up going obviously into the jail system and then having to be sent to a men's holding facility or prison. Not always in New York. New York is a little bit different, obviously, because there's some more progressive laws that have been passed here. But in many other parts of the country where these protests are going on, trans women are vulnerable to being housed in men's prisons or jails or holding, whether they're protesters or not. And so that's obviously a scary thing because it presents a whole nother set of dangers. And when we have to come back to this, I want to go back to the looting for 1 second. I watched a really moving video about a week ago from Tamika Mallory during the protests. This was much earlier in the protests, probably a few days after George Floyd's murder, where she was saying, basically, she was saying that the anger and the rage that we feel is because of the system that we're in, which we said. And, if you're accusing us of looting your property, y'all are looting our bodies. You are looting black bodies. The police are looting black bodies. That's something that really touched home for me. The other thing, another person that kind of said the same point was Trevor Noah of The Daily Show. He had a video, I'm not sure if you saw that video the other day, where he was talking about the protests and everything. And basically, if you haven't seen this video, please watch this video. It is him basically talking talking to white folks and explaining what this is like. Basically saying that the system of racism, it's basically an agreement with society. Okay, and I know I'm all over the place here. Drew, whatever his name is, Drew Freeze or whatever that guy, the football player, he basically said, I'm not going to acknowledge Colin Kaepernick. I think anybody disrespecting the flag is wrong. I believe in tradition. I believe in society. And I believe that we're all here on the same planet. And he said, the world isn't perfect. So the world isn't perfect. But you need to stand up and pledge the flag. And we're all in this together. Basically, not acknowledging the police brutality, not acknowledging why people are protesting. His answer to police brutality and the death of George Floyd and all that is, the world isn't perfect. And you all need to be quiet and participate. Sing the anthem, pledge allegiance, and do not disturb us with any of it. That's what he's saying.
What he's also saying is the world isn't perfect, but it's definitely more perfect for me than it is for you. I am benefiting in a great way from this, and please don't fuck this up because I got a really good thing going. I'm white, I'm rich, I'm cis, I'm a male, and I got some legit great shit going on. Please don't fucking ruin this for me.
And that's what it means to participate in society. And so this is one of the things, and Mitch was basically talking about this too. So the rest of what he said when Trevor Noah acknowledged society was that when a society is basically an agreement, a contract, we all agree that we're going to follow the laws, go to work, do whatever we're going to do, and we're all going to participate in society. And so Trevor was saying the thing that is interesting about this is that the reason why the Black Lives Matter movement and people are upset, black folks are upset, is because we are participating in society since the moment we got to this country. We built the country, we picked the cotton, we did it all, took care of your kids, and have been ingrained in this society since the inception of the country, but have not reaped the benefits and the rewards of being in that society. The contract is not honored for us. That contract of being involved in the society is collectively not honored for us. And so we are, what investment do we have in following society? Where on the flip side, somebody like Drew Brees wants everyone to participate in society. It's not only that he doesn't want to participate in Black Lives Matter because it'll mess it up for him. He doesn't want anyone to participate in Black Lives Matter because it will mess it up for him. And that's one of the things that I think is really telling, is that they don't want to mess up what they have going, the good thing that they have going for them.
Well, that's the thing. Like I was saying, I can't remember who said it, but there is no gain of power without the loss of power. And the closer people get to the middle, as if you were up here before, and we down here are getting closer and closer, and you're equaling out with us, this person starts to feel oppressed. Whether they are oppressed or not, they start to feel it because they are now losing something, so that someone else can gain something.
Yeah.
Have you seen this? Have you seen this image of the Giving Tree? They're doing this. There's so many images out right now. It's like basically,
okay, what is it?
It's like the Giving Tree that Shel Silverstein book and poem. So basically, the tree, one side has apples, the other side has no, like apples low to the ground, He also had apples that are really high, so they can't reach them on this side. And they're like, well, equality would look like giving this person a bigger apple, and then maybe you need to adjust the tree so that people can reach the same amount of apples at the same time. The entire system needs to be readjusted so that people can actually have some leverage. If you have a 500-year head start, 500 years, not like that is 5 centuries. That is a lot of time. That is so many lifetimes.
That's longer than any of us can obviously remember. And
thank you for clearing that up, though. I don't know. I think Lady Bunny might be able to remember.
I don't know if I remember 500 years.
I think Lady Bunny, Shaquita might actually remember 500 years ago. But that is just so much time, such a head start, such a run to the finish line. Black people, like I said, you and I, well, not just you and me, but no one alive right now will be alive long enough for black people to be free as long as we were slaves. It's not happening. We have been free for about 156.
Can you say that again?
We have been free for about 156 years. We were slaves for 400 years. Our kids won't even see that. Our kids' won't even see that. Their kids won't even see that. That is how far away this is for the opportunity for black people to be free as long as we were slaves in this country.
And so that brings us to something. There's 2 things that I really want to talk about today. I have been out there, you have been out there, we have been out there using our platforms to help our communities. Who's our community? You and me, at least part of our communities are the LGBTQIA plus community and the black community, obviously. And so I need to turn it, we are holding everyone accountable. And I'll do that with myself first, because I know that by existing, I have participated in all of the systems that we're talking about, that we're shedding light on. I participated in racism just by existing. And I'm that's a very bold statement, but I've thought, oh, that girl's pretty when this girl might not be. I've bought this perfume that I like versus like, it's the effects of racism seep into everything we do. And one caveat to that is when I think of these police officers, again, and I know it kind of said it, but I want to re-say it, I don't want to view each individual as an evil person. They're doing evil things. I also view white folks, some police officers, the police system, and also white folks in general in this country, also as victims of the system of racism. They are humans that have been kind of brainwashed into this situation, and it feels very uncomfortable when you're being woken up from the situation. But white folks have also fallen victim to the system of racism. Not that they've been victimized the same way that black folks have. They've been tricked into or born into doing something that I believe is unethical in participating in the oppression of black people. That's not excusable, but it is. I want to acknowledge that you will feel discomfort and pain and insecurity and all kinds of feelings that you never thought you would feel when you are waking up and coming over to the good fight. That you will feel uncomfortable. You will also lose friends. There will be some, if you're doing this the right way and you're participating in Black Lives Matter, you are going to lose some friends. You are going to lose some relationships. Somebody is going to be uncomfortable. And if you're in a situation where you're like, I want to say Black Lives Matter, but I don't want to piss anybody off, I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable, then you're not doing it right. And that is how you are participating in the system. You are going to lose some friends. And honey,
because you're valuing this little quick pause. So I want to bring it back to talking about this issue that happened in Philadelphia with this trans woman who was at this gas station. I think her name was Ayana. And she ended up getting just brutalized by this big group of men just like attacking her. It was so upsetting to watch. I saw T.S. Madison posted it on her Instagram, and I saw it and it just made me sick.
It's a really upsetting video. It's quite triggering, and it's very violent, and she's alive, and it's really upsetting to watch. I couldn't watch the whole video. Once you see what it is, you know what it is. It's a woman getting beaten up by at least 15, it looked like a group of 15, 20 people.
So many.
At least. So many, like a crowd out of a store, and it was happening in a store. So I don't know what led up to it, but it was a bunch of people in a store and a trans woman, and the video starts with her getting punched and beaten in the head against like the door and the shelves and things. She's
Yeah.
up against the wall, and they're just punching, beating, like getting in really good hits and like going like they want to kill her,
It's
and
vicious.
and then they push her outside, and I'm like, oh Lord, don't let her go out, get her
Well, at
outside,
one point she
because
runs
then
behind the counter and she's like hiding behind the
right,
counter.
it
Yeah.
moves all over the place, but they keep beating her up. She eventually gets behind the counter, and I was so afraid that they were gonna start like bang roughing up the store and like at all costs to get to her. And the shop owner would. I was hopeful that the shop owner would protect her. The shop owners did protect her. The shopkeepers did protect her. They put her in the back office somewhere, like so you can see them rushing her to the back, and then and they're like, "We're waiting for you," almost like Cujo or like some rabid dog. We're waiting for you. They're like, "We're gonna wait until you know." I don't know what happened if they eventually left. I'm hoping that somebody
I mean, she
called
got
the
home
police.
safely. She got
Yeah,
home.
she got home safe, and she's alive and everything. And there's people posting her Cash App to send her money. I'm hopeful that that's been very helpful. I hear that there was a little bit of like confusion with one of the Cash App addresses, that it might not have been the right one, whatever. But at least she's alive and she's safe. There's probably a lot of healing and some trauma that has to happen. There's trauma and healing that has to happen over that. Um, but but the point is, this also wasn't just an isolated incident of maybe an altercation between two people, one being trans. This is, well, one person and 20 people. This is, I believe, an extension of, and this is the truth. Black Lives Matter, not the organized movement, but for far too long, black folks who have been vocal about the oppression of black people and racism in this country have failed to acknowledge or put on an equal pedestal when we're talking about victims. We just start with victims of murder victims. Failing to acknowledge the very, very large, growing number and problematic number of, alarming number of trans women. I think okay, I'm back. Have failed to acknowledge the trans women who've been murdered and killed every single year. There's 20, 30 something trans women who are viciously killed, but they're usually not killed by the police officers. The T is that they are being killed by usually other people in their community, all different people, but many times these are other black men. And I'm just gonna say it, just let's be real. This is a thing. It's the truth. And it pains me to lift up this, but we are telling the truth in 2020, we are telling the truth. And the truth is that the girls who have been killed and the people who have been killed who are trans, who have been killed at the hands of black folks, it's an issue and a problem. And the fact that the rest of the community doesn't rally around those trans women who've been viciously murdered, have not rallied around them, that is a problem as well. People who are marching for Black Lives Matter need to acknowledge the problem of trans women of color and black trans women being beaten and killed and murdered.
Yeah, absolutely.
They need to do that.
Well, the thing
And
is,
you
that's
cannot,
like when you talk about Black Lives Matter, it's Black lives, like people who are living who are black, people with lives that are black. It is not exclusionary. It is about black people, and there is a deeply rooted issue within the black community that wants to be transphobic, that wants to be homophobic, that is exclusionary toward our, especially trans femmes.
it's true. And so there's a huge problem with that. And I think that I'm sorry to say, I don't know. I feel like we're getting closer in terms of like the overall addressing racism, but I don't know that we're necessarily going to get to where we want to be unless unless you acknowledge what needs to be acknowledged. And all that is you need to lift up the humanity of black trans people and black queer people and black gay people. We
Well,
have been.
someone commented on like in our videos that we've been releasing, we've been getting an overwhelming amount of support, which I'm really grateful for to everyone who's been watching us and listening to these conversations. But also, like, in there is still that, homophobic and transphobic rhetoric that's buried in the comment section of probably this video right now. This very video that someone's watching this moment, there's someone in the comment section who has something, smart and snarky to say about our existence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's a problem. And I mean, I have to be. There is not a single movement that, or there's not a single movement that has advanced Black folks from all during time, but starting at least at the civil rights, but definitely before the civil rights. But you can go back to civil rights. You can go back to the Million Man March. You can go any of these moments that were like big moments in history for Black folks coming together to speak out against racism or try to gain equal rights or whatever they were doing. There has not been a single movement that hasn't been supported and probably extremely benefited extremely by queer people being involved. There hasn't been. We have been there at every march. We've been at every fight. We've been at every rally. We've been arrested with you. We bail your asses out. Probably the lawyer who's there is probably, there are queer people involved in this fight 100%. And so you do not get to use us and our bodies for Black Lives Matter and not acknowledge our humanity and that our Black life matters too. And we need that to happen, period.
Yeah, I mean, that's on period. There's nothing else to add to it.
So now let's talk about the gays.
The gays. These gays, girl. These gays.
Darling! Can I start by a disclaimer or a message, an announcement? I got an announcement. Pride 2020 and maybe 2021. This year, the theme is Black Lives Matter. And guess the color is the color. You will be wearing black.
Every color on the rainbow is black. It's just a bunch of different shades of black. Dark black, light
different
black.
Shades of black.
Maybe a dark gray. Can slide up in there somewhere. But yeah,
that is the theme.
It is really interesting to see. It's really weird to see this, like, the Black Lives Matter movement getting such a resurgence has really pulled back the sheet in the queer community to see there is just some folks in this community.
The white sheets in the
Yeah, girl, the white sheets with the holes cut out in the eyes. It is really showing that there are some people, like, the amount of all lives matter madness that I've seen in the queer community is insane.
Upsetting.
I can't even believe it's actually happening in this. I literally don't have the words for it. It's wild. And I'm shocked because these are the people that I have been marching next to these people at parades. I have seen them at marriage equality protests, and now the same folks are up here hollering some, I'm not gonna march in Black Lives Matter because, like, this fucking,
because we can't have pride.
Or someone being like, a black guy was once mean to me in 2015. So therefore,
let's talk about it.
Black Lives
Isn't
Matter.
that? I mean, I have seen an overwhelming amount of gay porn stars and adult actors getting on their videos and talking about this issue, saying that they don't support Black Lives Matter. There's the one video. I mean, do you want to talk about it or
who? Ben Masters.
Talk about it, boo. Let's talk about it.
The porn star Ben Masters. I talked about it a little bit on Sibling Rivalry, so I have no qualms talking about it.
Okay.
Again. Ben Masters, this porn star, released this statement, and I mean, I don't want to dignify by calling it a statement. It's literally just his Instagram story.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is these people like record themselves saying this shit, and
watch
then
it, and then upload it,
post it, and then go, yeah, that was what I wanted. Post, and are just like, I said what I said. And feeling fierce about it. Like, I want to find this video because I don't want to misquote it because it is so insane. I couldn't believe he had the nerve to say it. I mean, I hope it hasn't been taken down yet by this point, because
we'll show the video if we can.
but it's also who's that guy? It's Bill something Santoro also coming out.
Somebody Santoro. There is a rash of. So here's the video.
And 2 months ago, I went to the liquor store to get a bottle of wine, and a black guy walked in, and he asked if I could give him money, and I said, "I'm sorry," and he responded saying, "Don't say, 'I'm sorry,' say, 'I'm sorry,' like a man." And I'm sorry, it's just how I speak, unfortunately. I'm totally not trying to be negative or discredit anything, but I'm just like trying to bring into light that I know that it sucks that not everyone is treated equal, but also like I'm not treated equal either. So it's not like I'm not going to go and risk being injured or in pain or hurt or anything right now outside because I'm told that I'm supposed to be using my body as a barrier for the black people in these parades, and I don't feel that I should be using my body as a barrier. And I could continue to speak about more and more instances. There was a time I was sitting on the train, and as I was sitting on this packed train, somebody across the way was screaming at me how I was a faggot and that I was an awful person, made every single person on the train stare at me for being gay. And as well as I was going back home in January to visit my mother in California, and my mother almost accidentally cut somebody off, and she was completely apologetic. She didn't realize when we were on the freeway, and the guy pulled up beside her, rolled down his window, and said, "You and your faggot friend shouldn't be on the road." So I get nobody likes me. Nobody wants me around, so it doesn't feel good. I know that. And if you guys are all capable of getting all the people that are marching today for Black Lives, every single straight person, every white, black person, every single person that's walking to walk in a pride parade next year, then I will get my ass out the door right this second and go march with these people. All right? Just to level out the playing field a little bit.
Okay, so that's the video, and there's a rash of. I don't understand. I mean, obviously, folks are feeling emboldened, and that's fine. It's a free country. People can do what they want, but it just for a while.
Oh, I found. Do you want to hear it so you can rehear what it is? Just in case y'all hear.
Okay.
So the idea that and also
level
by the way,
out the playing field.
This is also by the way, the same guy who slid into my DMs talking about hey, me and my friends are all hanging out. Do you want to come hang out with us? To try to like use, I don't know, try to like flaunt some sort of clout so that he can say that like, oh, see, I know who Bob the drag queen is, and try to get me to come over to his apartment to hang out with his friends to be like, look, I know famous people, basically. And I was like blown away that he had the audacity and the nerve to post something like this while trying to communicate with black people simultaneously.
Mitch, what was that comment that you said that you put? Who
it's the Billy Santoro thing.
Oh, I couldn't see the whole post.
I'll find that one too. I mean, and it's really so weird too because whenever it comes to like sex workers' rights or anything like that, the main people up there chanting and talking about it are a lot of these fucking queer people up here chanting. It says, Billy Santoro wrote, "LOL, America. LOL, you let your blacks loot as a way of protest. Wake the fuck up, shoot first," is what Billy Santoro said.
And so for a while, probably in the early 2000s, there was a feeling, there was an impression that I got was that folks in that LGBT community really just meant, first of all, it wasn't LGBTQIA+. In the early 2000s, it was just LGBT at best. And usually it was gay community. And many folks in the gay community, there was a feeling of many folks in the gay community, when we meant gay, it meant male, and it meant cis, and it meant white. Usually, when you're talking about gay advertising, gay TV shows, gay storylines, we hired a person who's LGBT to be the president of the thing. Guess what? We hired a white man to be the president of the thing. And so that was what it was. But at the same time, I remember a feeling of basically as soon as this gay white man would sit down in his new office, he would turn around and be like, "Okay, y'all, we made it. The movement's over. And
We're
that
good.
was like,
We're good now. Woo.
We're good. I got what I needed. We're good. And I saw a lot of that happening in back, probably like 10 years ago. And, obviously people of color, women, trans folks were like, what? We were here at your march for marriage equality, and now y'all turn around and be like, okay, we're good. And that was, that really woke me up. They were thinking that they have, I think there's a lot of queer folks, a lot of gay men, a lot of gay white men who do not believe that think that they are less racist just because they're gay, and that that we are connected through our LGBTQIA plus connection, and that somehow absolves any type of possibility of them being racist. And now we're seeing that is just not true. These white porn stars are coming out of the woodwork saying with all the racism, it's just flying out of them. And it gags me. There's another one that Trinity dragged.
It says a lot to realize. This just kind of terrifies me in general. When I see these companies coming forward and like doing something quick and fast, like just for fans, dropped Billy Santoro and like, no, you can't be here. Kake Boys dropped Ben Masters, like, no, you can't be here. And meanwhile, it is taking like our country forever to arrest these cops. Like, how is Just for Fans have a better policy regarding racism than our police system? How does Bratz Doll Company speak up before fucking the United States government does?
Because they are more vulnerable, because they are just most of their money comes from people their image. That's it. And that's not
how about like Ben and Jerry's? Ben and Jerry's has basically been turned into a Black Lives Matter Stan account.
They have, but Ben and Jerry's has been on the right side of on a lot of these arguments. And I'm not saying that they're a perfect company because I don't know I didn't review their books. But Ben and Jerry's was founded in a sort of ethical mindset that they were for women's lib, that they were for women's reproductive rights and women's health issues. And I'm sorry, it's not women's reproductive rights. It's women's, femmes, and anyone who has a vagina and a uterus.
AFAB production rights.
AFAB productive rights.
You get it.
Reproduction. AFAB reproduction rights. Anyway, so Ben & Jerry's has always been that company that's been like, we don't care, we want to do the right thing. And so I think that that's great, and I expect nothing less of them. I'm here to let's talk about the companies that haven't said anything or at the last minute are coming through and trying to be like, oh, we're Black Lives Matter, when a week ago you weren't having anything to do with it. I think before the call we mentioned what happened with Monroe Bergdorf, who is a trans model who, I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but a trans model. She was the very first trans model to be signed with L'Oreal Paris. And this was back in 2015, I think, something like that. And she was in an interview. It was a very controversial interview. Basically, her public positioning, she was using her platform to talk about everything that we're talking about today. Everyone is talking about it. And she was like, there's a problem with racism, not in America, not only in America, in the whole world, all the colonized places. And so they fired her. They fired her for speaking up on Black Lives Matter and Black issues. That's not what we're about. They fired her, and she was, I can't speak for her, but I imagine that it was devastating. It was obviously an historic moment that was tarnished by them. And I'm sure she wasn't working, because I think that when L'Oreal Paris shuns you, then the rest of the industry,
the world is like,
does
you're
the
no
same.
good.
So she was kind of blacklisted in the industry, MUNROE. And the other day, L'Oreal Paris had the nerve to post Black Lives Matter and change their thing to black. The nerve. okay. But then she said, I do think it's interesting that you're posting this and you haven't reached out to me. You haven't even acknowledged. They've never acknowledged what has happened to her. And so she gave them 48 hours and then she let them have it in a post after that.
But also,
48 hours
can
she
they
waited.
give her job back and back pay for the last 3 years where she wasn't working because they decided that she was too progressive for them? You know what I mean?
They haven't even acknowledged it.
Well, they're
And
probably
they
hoping
won't unless
they're hoping it'll just disappear.
go away. Yeah, that's what they're hoping. It is.
The thing about these talks that we're having, like we don't. I mean, we're already out of time. We don't even have time to go into everything because there's just so much coming up, and we are really seeing America for who she is.
For what it is.
You know what I mean? I don't even want to say who
It's the
she is,
truth.
who he is, because this is a mean, nasty,
Yeah.
old
Yeah.
man-looking motherfucker. But like, it's just a big old cis white man with fucking a red MAGA hat. That's what America. That's who he is.
And well, we're going to do something about that because we are here too, and we will be. I mean, look, right now, this is our country just as much as it is theirs. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I gotta keep remembering. That's what I gotta keep telling myself. This is I am a fucking American citizen. This is my motherfucking
We built
country
this
too.
country. We have been here since the beginning of the country. We've been here since before the country.
Yeah.
We have been here. And so this is our country just as much as it is theirs. And we have been beaten and we've been enslaved and all that. But it is wrong. And people are starting to recognize that. And so please have these conversations. It's not okay, I know we're out of time, but we got to say this. It was not enough. I'm sorry. And to all the white people who have been texting me and saying, I love you. What can I do for you? Thank you. But no, thank you. Don't call me. Call your mother. Call your cousin who voted.
Yes. Oh my God. Thank you. Stop, bitch. Don't call me. You. First of all, Pep, I'm sorry to cut you off, but bitch, I don't know why that didn't even occur to me. That's every time a white person texts me now, I'm be like, don't call me. Call your people. Call these people and tell them. Tell these motherfuckers. Don't tell us. Don't tell these people. Tell these people. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. And so I love that there's people who are active. I love that there's obviously a moment of awakening. We will help you. We are black folks will help you. We've been helping you. We've been trying. Y'all haven't been listening. And I'm really here for it that people are waking up and becoming aware and understanding the situation. And that is so good. And I'm happy to have a conversation with you. But you need to, it doesn't stop at that. It doesn't stop at making yourself, like, checking in with your black friend just to make sure that they're not mad at you for the racism and then everything goes back to normal. That's not what it is.
I mean, the best quote I saw was when what's her name? Kamora Black tweeted out, "How you all feeling today?" And then Shea Coulee just retweeted and said, "I feel like shit, Kamora. Like I feel like shit. That's how I feel, bitch." And like that's what's tea, mama. How y'all feel today, bitch? The nerve.
Well, how you think we feel, bitch? And so it's important that you all do that work. I know it's uncomfortable. In this video, we're going to place, I have a couple links and some resources, and I never thought that I would be like, here's some resources to help you with your racism. But we have them. And it's important to use them. But what you should go out and do, I'm not even going to tell you in this video. We're going to place some links in the thing. Just choose for yourself, but know that ultimately the work, the fixing of this really is the job of the white people who care. And it's going to be some hard work because, like Bob said, it's 500 years of oppression and slavery and all these different things. And so that's what you are getting ready to undo.
And not only it's 500 years, and we're only 156 years on the mend. And it's been a slow, terrible mend. It's not been the good work for 156 years. The work's only gotten really progressive since the 60s. So if we consider, knock off the first 100. Don't make me do math, but whatever. Since the 60s to the 40s is now 50 years ago. So the first 100 years of the mend was nothing.
90.
The last 50 years of the mend has been something.
It has been something, and it's been notable, and it has been some change. And we honor the ancestors and the people that came before us that fought, that marched, that spoke out, that risked their lives, that died. That is real, but that is not the end of the story. You cannot tell us that, oh, it was slavery ended and Martin Luther King did what he had to do and now we're done. It's bigger than that. And so call your family, call your friends, have these conversations. If you can't go to a protest so you can see and feel the pain, because there's always a vibe at those protests. Wear your mask, go to the protest, and then come home and talk about it with your family. Call mom and don't just be like, Mom, you need to be like, Mom, can we talk about your experience with racism and my experience
Send
with
her
racism.
one of these videos. Send your mama one of these videos.
Send her a video and have a talk about it. And come back into the comments and let us know what they said. I want to know. I want to know.
Tea. Well, thanks for talking to me again, Pep. I love you so much.
I love you.
And I reckon we'll probably talk soon.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Yeah, we will. Oh, we will.
Oh. We will.